Okay, can we talk about the season already?
I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, I was talking to Hayden, equipment manager. Is that his correct title?
Yes.
Okay, great. I didn't want to throw shade, Hayden, or like not have the proper title after you. I was talking to Hayden in the hallway, and he was like, "Yeah, well, it's a controversy. Is preseason over yet?" And I'm like, "When does it end? 2 days before the game? Are you already? You're in the week of game prep. It's over. In my books, it's over.
For me too. Monday.
You're in game prep.
You are, yeah. Monday, pretty much after the last preseason game, right? For me, now the real preparation for match day 1 is underway. And they had a couple days off when they get back from Orlando. Preseason's done.
Yeah.
Right? You're preparing for a game just like you will in June, July,
I mean, yes and no, right? Because you tell us, because you've been in these first game situations. You don't really have film on many of these teams. So it's more about you right now.
It is.
But you're still prepping for a game.
You are, and it's so hard to scout the team that you're about to play against in match day 1, right?
Yeah.
Literally, you're getting preseason, drone footage. It looks like the drone was on the moon, right? And it's just like, I can't do
We will not say where that drone footage came from, too, either, because it might be sketchy. No, just kidding.
But it's like that for the first couple weeks of the season, really.
You don't have that much to work off of. Mm-hmm. But the case is true for the first game here for the Colorado Rapids. They are going to a place that is one of the most fun environments in MLS, going to the Portland Timbers to face off against another squad with a new head coach. Phil Neville took over for them in the offseason. In 2023, the Portland Timbers ended with 43 points, 10th in the Western Conference, and they hired Phil Neville after the year was over. Their players that were out, big one, Sebastian Blanco. It's hard for me to imagine a team in Portland without Blanco on it, just like it was when Valeri left as well. Mm-hmm. It feels weird to think about that. Yemi Chara, the brother of Diego Chara, who
entering his 47th MLS season,
still there and crazy, and Yaroslav Niaskoda. Those 3 players out, 2 of them DPs. So there are 2 open DP spots for this Timber squad in Maxime Crépeau, a couple other goalkeepers in Pantemis and Muse. Defenders Kamal Miller, I think, is really one of the biggest ones for this Portland Timbers team. All right, I don't know, guys. You tell me. We can actually just have a discussion. What is this team with these players going to look like being coached by Phil Neville?
If they didn't have a new coach, I would say they're going to look exactly like they looked in their previous couple seasons under Savarese, I feel like, right? Phil Neville, I feel like likes the 4-2-3-1, right, which we're used to Portland being more of kind of a 4-4-2, 4-3-3, sit in deep, absorb a lot of pressure, and just fire at the hip going forward, right? Transition, get your creative players on the ball, get your Blancos on the ball, get who will be Evander, right, who finally came into his own as the season went on last year, get Santi Moreno on the ball, get Felipe Mora in the box on the end of crosses and passes and stuff.
I hope so.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we're still going to see a lot of that. They might, try to press you up the field a bit higher on your goal kicks or on restarts or stuff, but without knowing other than preseason footage, it's kind of hard to know exactly what it's going to look like. But they still have dangerous players.
Yeah, that's where I think it depends on what Phil Neville's looking to do with his style of play. Because we've been used to Gio Savarese with the transition, which they were lethal. I remember it was in 2018, 2019. They were lethal in transition. So it'll be interesting to see if they kind of keep that as kind of a club ethos, or if Phil Neville's going to maybe tweak that a bit more, kind of do his own thing.
Phil Neville will say, his fingerprints are going to be all over this team.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not that sense of like commitment, because that is one of the things in the previous years I've been really I've admired about Portland is, if I was a player, that's not the style I would want to play, but they were committed to the style that they were playing, and it was successful for them. But I do think that Phil Neville, from what we saw when he was in Miami, it was 2.5 years 36 wins, 11 draws, 43 losses. He ended 2023 with 5 wins and 10 losses, and that's when he got fired. He played in a 4-2-3-1, but he played in a 3-5-2 as well at times with Carranza when he had Carranza up top. I wouldn't be surprised with some of these players that they have. I think they'll start off in a 4-2-3-1 with the players that they have. But I think there are going to be iterations of this team that are a 3-back, for sure. Do you guys think I'm wrong with that?
That could be interesting. I do feel like defense is a big question mark for them. You do bring in Kamal Miller.
Right.
But Claudio Bravo starting the season injured, right?
Yep.
Who's going to play? I know they have, Zuparic is still there as far
And
as
McGraw.
I know. McGraw, the
Miller.
young player.
And I could see them using the center back, Juan Mascara, or the outside back, excuse me. I mean, when he came in, he was just
Bombing forward.
Young Colombian
Very
player,
dangerous.
especially with looking up the field with Santiago Moreno, those two, and the combination that they can have. So I think it is going to be a handful if those two play on the right side for the Rapids. But whenever you see that, you're knowing, okay, how do we get after them in that same direction? And I think that's going to be some of the space that could be open for the Rapids, attacking down their right side, the Rapids' left side, which we already talked about a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and really maybe both sides, because left side you might get Dairon Esprilla, you could get Anthony, the Brazilian. Evander's not a player who's going to come back into the defense and help out a whole lot. And so I do believe once you kind of break that first line of defense from them, you're going to be able to knock the ball around a little bit and hopefully drag them out of positions.
Yeah. And I think that'll be evident for both teams, right? These two teams are under new head coaches. There is going to be a period of, we got to figure this out here on the pitch, playing an opponent who knows nothing about us.
Yeah, it'll be a test for both sides, I think.
Yes.
So a big test, obviously, for the Rapids, going to an environment where in the last 3 years they've lost twice, drew once. New coach, new system of play. There's going to be some growing pains with that, as with any team with a new coach and a new style of play. But at the same time, if you flip it, a lot of pressure on Phil Neville to make sure that he tries to perform in front of a Timbers Army, Providence Park that is demanding of their Portland Timbers team. Demanding. And that's putting it lightly, quite frankly. The pressure's going to be on Phil Neville. So if anything, the Rapids can use that to their advantage, put the Timbers in a tough spot to begin with, and let that pressure, instead of being on the Rapids, apply it onto the Timbers, take advantage from there, and hopefully earn a result in the last few years in Providence Park.
I don't know what the teams are going to look like when they line up, right? Nobody does. But I do hope Eric Williamson is playing for the Timbers. He's one of my favorite midfielders in this league, and he's coming back from an ACL. So I hope he does get some time, and just looking at what could be the makeup of the Rapids midfield and some of the players that we've mentioned before. There could be some really good 1v1 battles within that midfield that I think will intrigue a lot of people on day one. So can you believe it's almost already here?
Preseason flew
So
by.
exciting.
Before you know it,
Right?
season starts. But exciting,
Yep.
super exciting to start. It's kind of a fresh new slate of players, and with the coach and the coaching staff.
Yep.
Very exciting to see where this year goes for the Colorado Rapids.